Welcome to Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at staying your butt at home. Normally look at strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. In this time, I know there's a lot of stuff going on. We're at the point of quarantines. I could go into a bunch of various things. So I'm going to mix a little bit of, this is what you need to be mindful of with some heroclix today. So this first part is going to be a little bit more of what to be mindful of so that you are prepared going forward. And then I'm going to talk about heroclix at the end, talking about the upcoming set and the impacts thereof. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about you're at home. You're on limited lockdown, and more than likely you're going to be under curfew. First and foremost, we're not in pure quarantine. We're not in China quarantine. You can go outside. Actually, for your health, I'd recommend that you get about 15 to 20 minutes or even 30 minutes of direct sunlight a day. Build up that vitamin D in your immune system. Keep that social distancing going, my friends. It's really important to do so. You see the kids outside playing, hugging up on each other. Just leave the kids alone. Stay 20 feet away from wherever they're at. Just go away from there. The next thing is you need to establish your routine. I know you probably have already started people talking about that. Man, you really need to have a routine. I'll say for myself, my first few days, the routine helped me out a lot. Yeah, I've been on spring break and I've been primarily inside. Instead of those, I think I went outside twice in a week, only because I needed to try to secure some goods. But yeah, establish a routine. I know that every day, except for yesterday, I've been exercising, doing what I can. So, try to get up, go listen to some good music, get my, little praise and worship on. Then, listen to some of my YouTube guys, get my daily dose of information about what's going on in these streets. And, exercise, you plan out your breakfast. I think that steel cut oatmeal is probably one of your better bets for satiation so that you're not feeling horrible, like you have to keep eating. So what I do is I fill up a bowl full of steel cut oatmeal. I have veritable fruits if you're looking for high satiation. Pumpkin, not pumpkin pie mix. That's just going to make you fat. Pumpkin, just pumpkin. It's cheap, super cheap. I bought a whole lot of it. Shout outs to Athlean X. He brought that up on the show, and I've been doing it for a couple of months now. But anyway, but you put the pumpkin, a little bit of honey or syrup on the oats, hit it with your almond milk or your milk, heat it up, stir it, add some walnuts on top for texture, you're good. I can eat one bowl, and it can make me feel full for about 5 to 6 hours. Now, the main goal you got to understand is feeling satiated is better in a low foodstuff situation. And trust me, I've been to multiple grocery stores. No one's hitting up the steel cut oats, okay? Everybody's buying all the instant crap. The steel cut oats are going to be good for you. Even if you put them in the microwave, they're still, good for you. If you got to, add some more sugar to it, fine. Do what you need to do. But with, like I said, with the steel cut oats, it's going to provide a situation for you to be satiated so that you're eating less, which is going to be your biggest downfall, being an American and being a human, or better yet, being a person in the Western world. In particular, we eat when we're bored, we're eating when we're entertained, and we're eating when we're hungry. And sometimes we just eat, and we eat when we're stressed. So all those situations add up, and sort of being conscious and saying to yourself, do I really need to eat right now? Is that a good idea? It's something to really keep in consideration because what tends to happen is, people that work from home tend to be more obese than people that go to a normal 9 to 5. And you or your loved ones or somebody else is going to enter into that world. Okay. Next up, I would definitely recommend that you find some. If you don't have free weights, try to get some. Get your curl on. You need to do this as a male. I know I have a 99.9% male listenership. You need to get your curl on. You need to get some exercise because you need to produce testosterone for your health. For your health. All right. You need to lift heavy things. Okay. So if you need to go outside and chop some wood, you need to, do 100 push-ups. Whatever you need to do, you need to get your testosterone going for your own health. It's a basic men's health thing. Like I said, there's Athlean X. I recommend him. I also like this other cat, Jeremy Ethier, Ethier, on YouTube. He's another good source. Bodybuilding.com is not as useful outside of some of the dietary stuff right now. So those are some of the things that I look at. I know some of you be like, man, Dark Logos, you rounded in the roly-poly. What are you doing listening to, all this other stuff? And it's like, well, I am round and my body fat is a bit high. But I will admit I do have some muscle bulk underneath. It ain't all lean and trim, but I have it. Shout out to Marquise. He was on the show, during February for the Black History Month show. He proved by any means necessary he'll go out there and get that lift on. So just do that. The other thing that I would tell you is now is not the time to pick that fight. Everyone needs their space. You need to have honest conversations, but you also have to understand is you're probably going to be holed up with a person consistently for probably at least 2 weeks. I don't see any of these protocols that are going down to take less than 2 weeks. In that time, what will happen is various things I probably shouldn't talk about right now. But in terms of your loved ones, you need to establish some healthy boundaries fast. Like fast. If you haven't done it, if you haven't disciplined your kids properly, guess what? You're going to deal with the reality of who your kids are. If you haven't created healthy boundaries with your spouse, now you have, or you've, or they're, mentally abusing you, or they're taking advantage of you, or vice versa. All of that's going to come home to roost. Expect a lot of divorces. Okay. Coming in, when a lot of these things settle down between folks losing a ton of their money in the market, folks losing, their job, being locked up with this person because chicks will be like, yo, I wish I could just spend all this time with you. And then when they finally get that time, they don't like it. So then all of a sudden they don't have an excuse in that next fight. I do understand that, homie. I do peep game. You can throw that one back. All right. Definitely for you brothers that been working a lot. Okay. And then also a good chunk of us are functionally useless in a crisis. So expect there to be like a lot of divorces after this is all said and done. And so to try to help you avoid that, number one, stay fit. Like I said, you are the only male sexual option for a while. Okay. Same with, your wife or whatever dynamics you're in. Stay in shape. Okay. 2, if you are learning a skill, freaking Netflix is cool. Learn a freaking skill. I'm going to tell you the most powerful skills that have low barrier of entry right now that you need to learn is number 1, how to garden. Number 2, basic first aid and care. Number 3, how to set up a quarantine room. And then number 4, and I would really sort of, I would move it up or down depending, where you're at. Learn a basic martial art. Okay. Whether that martial arts is how to, use a gun more properly, how to use if you want to learn how to hunt too, I would also put the hunt and the martial art in the same area. So if you want to know like basics of boxing, so you can throw a punch, how to take a punch, YouTube's there. If you want to learn how to, do basics of kung fu, or basics of judo, how to best approach a firefight situation. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. I know for myself in life, I've used a lot of different style of staffs in fights. And I've also thrown down with my fist. I've taken some punches in my youth. So I understand the importance in and around this time of being stronger. Definitely, if you can prove to your spouse, look, you could take at least one guy down. I think everybody would understand if like 5 guys try to invade your home. But you could at least need to prove you could take one guy down. All right. Efforts towards that is important. Also, concerning the virus, things to consider. What was it? I think it was like American College of Cardiology. They were pointing out that the disease strikes people that are diabetic, who have hypertension, heart issues, a lot stronger. Not only that, COVID hits people who are male twice as, or is more fatal to men, twice as more than it is to women. You're able to have more complications, twice as more than women, and even more importantly, you're more likely to get complications, twice as more than women. So in this virus, literally, men catch virus, men most affected. Okay, I know the meme is, blank happens to men, women most affected, but like literally, I'm not kidding. It's like men are most affected. Okay. So there's some long-term consequences of this. I don't think a lot of people understand right now, which is we all are praising, those people that are going out there. Okay. We're giving the hand claps and stuff, but understanding that this disease mostly strikes men. Look at the jobs that are 90% male and then be afraid. Okay. A lot of your dangerous and necessary jobs are performed by men mostly, not by women mostly. So a lot of disruption has potentially happened if things get worse. In a lot of other countries where things have gotten worse, it's going to get even more worse once things start shaking out. The young person, I am Superman, this is the boomer doomer virus parts are completely wrong. Anybody that's still on that trip, I'm sorry. I am so sorry that the media lied to you so bad. I'm so sorry. Okay, so what do we know? We can go look at the numbers from Denmark and we can start seeing that we're a higher number of young people that are being brought to the hospital suffering from COVID. So what does that tell us? Okay, so they got told that they were Superman on Earth, and it's good to go. This is killing the old folk. I'm not old, my blood cell count is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, as Mary Poppins would say. And they thought they were Mary Poppins fresh. But they found out, because they didn't abide by social distancing, they didn't care about proper hygiene, and even more importantly, they're not thinking about long-term ramifications. They're more likely to be infected now. Even with some of my students, they, unfortunately, my boss told the kids that this disease isn't mainly affecting the kids. And so they were all slapping each other, hitting each other on the back of the head, sharing their foam brushes and picks and all this other stuff. And I'm like, look, y'all need to have proper distancing. I even said that, look, technically it's like 2 weeks ago, and nobody really listened to me. And sometimes it sucks to be right. Sometimes it really does suck to be right. All right, so tell young people, like, look, y'all need to keep your butts away from each other. It definitely, in particular, you need to tell them, like, hey, if you care about, your family, especially your elders, you need to either A, quarantine yourself off like the rest of us, or B, if you are going to leave, you can't live the hell here. Okay? And you have to just be honest with them. You want to go out there and you want to go run these streets, fine. You can't live here. You need to secure another place to live. I'm not feeding you. I'm not doing this, that, and the other. And you're going to say, well, that's a little extreme. And I'm like, it's a little extreme until, your mother, because most of us are, older, your mother dies. Or your grandmother dies if she's still alive. And I'm speaking from personal real life conversations that I've had over the past week with trying to get my cousin from college back home to the greater Chicago, the greater Chicago, Illinois-ish area, Indiana-ish area. I'm keeping it vague because I'm not going to try to cause problems for my family. But in particular, she's still down with her friends going out and doing dumb stuff. While lo and behold, they're going to, my aunt and my uncle are going to try to bring her back home because school shut down. Well, they're also taking care of my 90-year-old grandma. So there's decisions that have to be made. And I told, my mom when she went up there to watch my grandmother, and, it's like, look, when my cousin gets home, she needs to be in her room for 14 days. But they didn't do that. They kept her in her room for 1 day. Now, note, she's not hugging up on my grandma, but still, considering that people are asymptomatic for up to 14 days, and they have a higher viral load, in most cases, than people that are already succumbed to symptoms, her just breathing around where my grandmother is a liability. Freaking bugs. So, for some of you, you haven't really thought about that, and I'm presenting that to you as something to think about, okay? Like, if you are taking care of your elders, you need to be on top of that and just tell the young people, it's like, look, you're inside or you're out, like what it used to be. And if you're out, you can't stay here, you can't eat here. I'll leave a nice little meal on the porch for you, once a day. But when the night time comes and curfew comes, you're not staying here. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have like a range of family in the area, you can just be like, look, this house is the young folks' house and this house is the old folks' house. And the people that are sort of in between are in the old folks' house. And we might put one person that's on the younger end, like in the early 30s, to watch the young folks' house, to make sure it doesn't go crazy for the next few months. Okay. So that way you're able to segregate and keep people healthy. So those things are really important. Really, really, really important when it starts coming to your long-term health. I would definitely recommend, with the current border security, that you really consider where your food's coming from. Okay. Now, I know some people will say this is depressing as all get out, and I understand. I really understand. But you have to think about it like this. America has profited off of the slave labor. And I do mean it as slaves. Every major country that ever risen benefited off of functionally slave labor, even in modern era. I mean, China right now is doing it with their own people. Every institution has benefited from slave labor and utilizes slave labor. And when that cheap or slave labor disappears, you start to see a decline in that country. Okay. For the United States, it's primarily migrant workers. All right. So you might have whatever opinion you have on migrant workers, like, yay, everybody's welcome here, or B, no, we don't want them here because it deflates the cost of jobs, or I mean the pay of jobs, and hey, you have your opinions. I'm not going to tell you which way to lean. All right, but with the literally tightening of the border, Mexico's like, yo, we really don't want y'all over here. And we're vice versa, like saying, it's sort of mutual right now. Canada, we also locked down our border with Canada. They're like, hey man, hey man, we're cool, but we're gonna keep that. We're gonna just say like, yo, just stay the hell over there. For both sides, traveling workers is going to be a lot harder. Okay, so even more so, if you're not worried about the cost of your food, you need to be worrying about the health of your food. Okay, in terms of viral spread, and this is the pure example that's coming that I think a lot of people haven't thought about in terms of how they buy food and where they buy food from. I may have brought it up in my last video. I said, look, I'm going to the Asian food store to get my produce and my greens 90% of the time now because they're bagging my greens. Okay. Do you want to know what the mainline food store isn't doing? They don't have any of my produce in any sort of plastic barrier in between the coughing, sneezing masses and me picking it up. Considering that a good chunk of said food, I would prefer to eat raw and not cook, which then exposes me to whatever is on that leaf, because rubbing water on that leaf won't do crap to get viruses off. Okay? A lot of things that we've assumed are just fine aren't just fine anymore. And so you need to be really observant. You need to consider, okay, we're probably going to have less produce. The cost of produce is more than likely going to go up because the cost of laborers is going to go up. All right, so if you're looking to find a new industry, hey, there you go. But also in the middle of all this, what about, final safety? Like before your produce even hits to your grocery store, it's going to leave the farm. So point of question number one, go to, in some cases, depending on the produce, whatever the industry buyer is. Okay. So there's somebody else there. So that's point two. Then to the warehouse, because it's bought by, insert corporation here. So that's point three. And then shipped from the warehouse to the store back, the loading dock. So that's point four. Out and exposed and put in the front. So point five. So you have 5 points of exposure of your food. Before you even, put it in the cart, which is 0.6, because very few people wipe down the inside of their cart with those sanitizing wipes, then take it home, okay, and then how you're handling it at home, which could even be 0.7. All right, so you have potentially 7 points of contamination of your food that you never thought of before. That's now a reality. You're going to say, again, Dark Logos, you're overreacting. But these are things for you to remember when you're dealing with airborne plus contact virus that will stay on surfaces for long periods of time. All right. So, a lot of times, let me rephrase it. We used to live in a time where we were told to adapt and have more feminine qualities and feminine traits mixed in with our masculinity. But a couple of things I've noticed is all that toxic masculinity stuff sort of died overnight. I used to get bombarded by articles like that every day. Okay. Overnight, that stuff has died. A lot of questions are up. Highest amount of gun purchases in blue states than ever before. The game has changed. Recognize your place in it. That's why I was telling you before. Get your crew. Get your crew. I'm not saying make a gang, but I am telling you, you cannot survive alone. You can't. Okay. I definitely recommend cats I've been listening to, Peak Prosperity. Good cats. They've been giving me a ton of international information so I can start my rabbit trails and get more information. Also, don't trust Google. Start with Google, maybe, but go to DuckDuckGo. Google is heavily censoring and favoring stuff, and it's hard to get solid information, especially international news, because they're going to algorithmically keep you in your box. And if you try to get out of your box, they have too many markers all over the place that identify your computer with your phone, with your laptop, that they're just going to reconfirm who you are and put you back in your box. So because of that, use DuckDuckGo. Like, do not consider your position, conservative, liberal, libertarian, anarchist, whatever. Do not consider that the information that you're receiving is sound or that you're getting a whole picture, because you're not. And Google is reinforcing that. Okay? And hell, I'm even saying this on a freaking Google platform. So there you go. All right, that's it with the conspiracy theories. Let's talk about clicks. All right, so in the current meta, we are going to have, in the current environment, we're going to have a problem. And that problem is Justice League. And from a store level, from the future of the game level, even to as simply as how the hell am I going to get these dang cards level? We have a problem. Like WizKids, we have a problem. Okay. And so the issues that I would first present is, like, number one, in a depressed economy, is your good worth it? Like, is your good worth it? Okay, and that's really a huge question, because when folks are losing their jobs, are people going to value that? Okay, are you providing that much in value in terms of entertainment, in terms of just distraction? Because that's really what we're paying for in everyday life. And with that, with everything that they've done with stopping print and play, to do this, they're setting up for a really, really bad situation to not be liked, and to have players either regret playing the game, reject the team up mechanic, or even worse, leave the game. And now it's not the time you want players leaving the game. Okay, you just don't. If I was, able to send a line to WizKids, I would say immediately, what you need to do is make $2 packs, $3 packs, $4 packs. Okay, of each Justice League member, each of the of everybody that has a team up. Okay, and just sell those packs. Okay, and have them named non-blind. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying that they need to do this is because they need to establish up front and now, is this about me buying more product for product's sake, or me buying more product for fun? Now, if they want to say this is me buying product for product's sake, guess what? Every time you do this, I'm going to check out until this is every set, and then I'm permanently leaving the game. Because it's abusive. So what is the focus of this game? Plastic men on boards. Plastic men on the board. All right? As fun as that is, plastic men on the board is what this game is about. This game is not so much about me collecting cards. It's so much so not about collecting cards that when print and play was in effect, everybody appreciated it because, in all honesty, WizKids, your personal, customer service sort of suck balls. All right? And because it sucks balls, and I am being direct, you're at a loss. Hell, even with me, I have a Iceman with no bottom and no card. Okay? No bottom and no card. So, Colossal Iceman. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I need to call WizKids, but I'm just like, well, dang. Well, dang. Do I really want to go through that and then not get an Iceman back? Or even worse, get something like lower rarity or something like that. All right. And so there's a reality there. There's a reality of how you've treated your customers previously. It's like, it's not going to change. And again, if we're all about buying the product, you need to make sure that your cards, like if I send something in to be replaced, are you going to send me the proper card back? Do I need to send a card in now? Because now that's a factor. Okay, because you have the Ultra Chase team up BS that's going down. Has 3 team ups. Collect them all. And I need to, I didn't get a card. I didn't get a team up card. I have a team up card. That's the only card I have. And I'm sending it in. Do I need to send in the card too to keep the card ratio in play? Or am I gaming the system? Because now I sent the figure in. Are you even sending me a card back? There's things that need to be clarified. So there are a lot of things that when you start looking at it from a services standpoint, if you're just purely looking at me to buy product, to be hyped for product, to hype more product, okay, then you're going to lose probably one of your biggest detractor and biggest supporters, like immediately. Like if I see this as the trend, I'm done. I didn't even like the Ultra Chase thing. And the Ultra Chases I still think are one of the most horrible things in terms of rarity that they introduced to this game and how rarity works. Okay? And they could just even get more stupider and then introduce something called Elite Prime, where it's like the even rarer than the Ultra Chase. There's only 50 in the world, and you got to catch them like freaking Willy Wonka tickets. And then because they're so rare, they do these glaringly broken things. So anyway, there's that. So if we're going over to being more focused on, an actual game, then from a design perspective, you automatically have a problem. And I'm just going to say it's this. You can't have 11 to freaking 22 team ups. You just can't. And I know I'm exaggerating with the 22 team ups, but you just can't. And even more so, you can't have so many team ups in one set. So even if this was a lot more toned down, let's just say we kept it to the core 14 figures that this mechanic should have been exclusive to. The 7 members of the Justice League and the 7 members of the Injustice League. That's it. That is it. Okay? Nobody else. That is it. All right. Now, you've limited it to those characters. I can understand saying each of them has 3 or even 4 each. 5 would be pushing it. All of equal rarity, or even heck, if you get one of those characters, you're guaranteed to get it. Unlike what they're doing now, which is you're getting about 4 to 5 a brick, which means that you'll be lucky on average to get 10 in a case. Now, let's sort of do the numbers just right there. Let's just say every one of your cases are jackpots. Okay. Every one of your cases are jackpots. All right, so that's 10. Okay, so that's 10 cards. At minimum, and you have no repeating cards, at minimum, you're going to need to buy 14 cases. Okay? Just to get the core 7 team ups. And that's if they stopped at 10. So even after 14 cases, you're not going to have enough. You're not going to get all your team ups. 14 cases previously, I could have gotten 2 sets. So where does this come into with how you're asking me to buy as a customer, WizKids? Are you saying to me, for me to fully utilize this mechanic, you want me to spend what I would have spent in a year on your product, on one set? And in that one set, because it's DC, I'm supposed to spend all the money I would have spent on DC in a year, and then go and spend the same amount of money throughout the year for the rest of the sets. I'm sorry, that's delusional. That's just delusional. When they thought about this unlimited mechanic, they did not think about the fact that the human, money experiences is not unlimited. So there's a problem there. All right. Which leads me back to there needs to be card packs that I need to be able to buy if I'm going to continue utilizing this mechanic. If not, then we're going to have an issue. Now, if WizKids comes out and says, like, look, we're hearing the feedback, we are going to come out, with card packs in 5 months, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm still in. If the card packs are delayed to keep the value of the set high, all right, cool. That's fine. I can live with that. But on the other end, if the card packs are like, look, we're random, I'm like, I'm not messing with this mechanic. I'm just not. To the best of my ability, I'm not. Now, I know WizKids is going to be like, we don't want you to collect everything, blah, blah, blah. And I understand. But with the eradication of ID cards, it is clear by these team-ups that the sideline mechanic, which is allows you to utilize the most amount of, it allows you the most amount of flexibility, is now being handled by team-up cards, POG generators, because I can access other people's POGs, in shifting focus and all these other mechanics that sort of did take a backseat to the overwhelming power of IDs. Now, because we're considering that, and WizKids wants to sell stuff, I have to consider that these team-up mechanics will be excessively useful and in some cases mandatory. So if you're already starting on the wrong foot, you're just going to continue walking on the wrong foot, on the wrong path, and then later on you're wondering why you're crippled. Okay? And I really do mean that. And I know I have a frustration with WizKids. And the frustration is every so often they forget the lesson of the team base. Every so often there's 2 lessons they forget. They forget the lesson from when we transitioned into cards, so the Avengers set and the Justice League set, and what happened with team bases. All right, so let's talk about the Avengers, Justice League, and then team bases. So with the Avengers set, when it came out, they had Coming of Galactus, you had all these sealed events, and you had people buying. People bought so much product that even the higher rarity uniques and super rares and stuff were worth like dollars. Like, I don't think anything in that set was worth more than $10. Okay, so we hadn't hit full peak stupid yet with heroclix, but you could still get like your super rares for were still equivalent of uniques and other stuff was still like $25, $30. Very rarely you might see like a $50 something, but mostly what you saw was everything for those two sets being $10 or less. So I remember reading up at the time, and you could probably go read it up on Realms, talking about the crash and how the game was dying. People really didn't want to play. They didn't see much value in their clicks. There was very little trade value in those clicks overall. Now, go to the team-based problem. So if you... There's so many things that I was privy to. I don't even know the original source of where half the stuff comes from now. But it goes like this. Zoran, yeah, I'm naming names. You don't like me. I don't like you that much. It's quite clear in how I've been treated from WizKids that the main reason I don't go anywhere is mainly because of you, buddy. So there you go. I'll just say it out in the open. Zoran pretty much was trying to find a way of making the game more quote unquote collectible. And so you end up with team bases because you're trying to increase booster purchases so that people get their team base and then they want to get everything with the team base so that the team base is complete and functional. So we've seen this like multitude of effects and whatnot before. We've seen this with team bases. And what happened with team bases, there was two levels of pushback. One was a mechanic pushback because, yeah, man, Justice League and Shi'ar were just too stupid. They were too stupid. Even now, I really am. I need to sell my Justice League because I have a whole complete Justice League, but ooh, man, they could still compete in Modern. Like they could compete in Modern. I just want to make that clear. Like go run a Modern team and go run a 300-point Justice League team base, and you will just see how stupid it still is. Oh, I ignore shape change and super senses. I'm gonna light you up now. I'm Batman and Superman team ability in Justice League. So yeah, good luck. Good luck. Oh, you Colossal retaliated me? Hey, I popped off Green Lantern, and Green Lantern is going to use support. Yeah, man, that sucks for you. Hey, I popped off a Wonder Woman because I only need two characters on my base the entire time, and that's Cyborg and Aquaman, and they're both useless, really. So I can recycle through, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Superman to come whoop your butt. Yeah, I don't even need IDs. Go, come on, bring it. Come on, Cletus. Like that's what you're looking at. So I just challenge anybody. It's like, go play Justice League team base, fully loaded, full specs, everything, versus a Modern team. And you're going to see that it still can compete. I'm not saying it's going to win every game, but I am going to say is, buddy, you're going to have some problems. Because Justice League will still get a plus to map, can still get theme team or just straight prob, and come at you, bro. They can launch off little dudes, and you running your Vulture team. So what? You hit me twice. Now I'm going to unload on you. So anyway, but the main problem was with Justice League, and really the team bases, was collecting all of the guys. So you had guys that came with your team base, and then you had low rarity guys, and then you had high rarity guys, and then you had con exclusive guys. Prize support guys. And then I think there may have been, no, I don't know. There was no con exclusive guys. But there were variations of guys that you had to go and get, and it sucked. So I think I have like a complete New Mutants team base with Cable like in there, and I think I have Gen 13 with Mr. Lynch. I forgot his name, and that's in there. I had the two different Rainmakers, and I think there was another free fall. I'm not quite sure. It's been a long time. All right, so all of these characters, like all these team bases, have multiple interacting parts in which that if you collected a full team base and all of my team bases are complete, you're running almost like $100 on the low end to buy that team base. And if you put it into sort of modern economy, you're looking at that probably being about like $150. Okay. And that's a problem in terms of playing and being interested in having a mechanic that you like. Even after team bases are nerfed, having a mechanic that you liked is really important in the game. And I have teammates that like this team up mechanic. I have teammates that don't. But when I'm getting the report from a source that won't be named that you can have as low as 4 team up cards in a brick. You know, I'm waiting for the report when there's 3. It doesn't bode well for the average buyer. Because you're telling me is, yeah, this game is wonderful and the point of entry previously was this figure. Now it's not this figure anymore. It's this figure plus this card or series of cards are your barrier of entry. And I think that that's a problem. So the last thing when I start looking about, like, do we care about this as a game? I think team-ups will have to be nerfed. Realistically nerfed before they even launch. And the main reason is you're trying to mix a card game with the miniatures game, and that's a bad idea. So let me explain why. Let's just say I am running a stock Justice League team. Okay, just a stock Justice League team. And I have 4 characters from this set with the that have team ups. That means that more than likely, and I have all the cards. That means that at minimum on my team, I have somewhere around 50 cards more likely that I'm using. All right. So at the beginning of the game, I'm trying to determine which card. I can spend all my time looking and figuring and all this other jazz. And while all those team ups, you could say like, oh, you know, most of those team ups aren't even going to be good. It's the fact that I have those, that they can be a time waster starting the game. Definitely if I know that I need to slow play my opponent. Okay, the next element comes in, which is really frustrating, is the fact that I'm not limited to 2, 3, or even 4. Means that, oh, I put my card back into my card deck. Oh, you need that card? Let me go look in the card deck. Oh, I keep everything clean in the card deck. So all of a sudden, the deck box becomes a point of contention. Okay? Because then it's like, you don't have a lot of space. What are you going to do with that card? Oh, are you going to put it in the deck box for organization, which is justifiable, or is it out? Like, what is it going to do? Like, what are the rules, the social rules that we're going to have to come up with to deal with this? Because I just see all the petty BS that's coming. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And I haven't even revealed all the freaking dark side tricks that can go down with this. This is just part of it. All right. So those are things like just to keep in mind of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a situation where the amount of volume of data with this game it's a whole lot more. And you can't expect every player to be a pro player and know, for this matchup I'm doing this, for this matchup I'm doing that, for this matchup I have this team up, for this matchup I have this other team up. You know, you just won't know. And even if, like, let's just say someone says, like, all right, I have the Trinity. I still have points left over. I have, let's just say hypothetically, 5 or 6 team up cards that I'm using, and it's low. A person could still use that to cycle through to try to find something. So there's just problems all over the place. So there's things to keep in mind. Like, it's a lot of stuff to keep in mind. But anyway, the main, like I said, you can see the frustration. You can see where this going forward is going to be an issue. Everything is even more compounded because we saw the previews, some spoilers or previews, however you want to look at it, for Amazo. And Amazo, at the beginning of the game, can have, I think it's like a card, and if you use this card or whatever, I think you can't use any other team ups, or I forgot. But functionally, he could just use all of the Justice League abilities, and he can pick one. So you could start a game with like Flurry, or you could start the game with like Energy Shield, Deflection, Running Shot from Green Lantern. I'm betting Flash is going to be Hypersonic Speed. Superman's probably going to be Charge and Invuln, or Impervious, which whatever, it doesn't matter. And so I look at a character like that. It's like, look, you're a low rarity, but there's a lot of team ups that were at least seven team ups, or copying of powers, or whatever else you want to call it, that would be extremely useful for you to have. And so now we're looking at that as just as much of an issue to get, because we have to buy those things and pray that we get it. We can say, like, you know what? I have this plan to use Amazo, and then I'm going to use the Superman ability. And I think if I do that in the current game state, it'll be a really good thing. And you just may never get that card. You have the figure. You have the base card. But you'll never get something that ties to your core figure. And I think that's the biggest trash thing about this whole affair. Is, just imagine, people, right now, you got Jason Wingard, okay? Or Immortal Hulk, or hell, even Isaac. And then you found out, oh, Isaac, the only way you would get the Pog effect is if you opened up a couple more packs or win another WKO, or you might get it in that prize pack. Or with Jason Wingard, oh, you got the figure, but you pulled Jason Wingard triple, he'd be able to mind control and then prob, all over the map. You didn't get the chain mind control Jason Wingard card. Like, do you understand, like, how crappy that would feel? Like, you had this plan for how this would work and it didn't. Oh, you got the Immortal Hulk card where he comes back 3 times, but there's a other Immortal Hulk card, which I have, which he once he hits stop, he's +3 stats until the end of the dial. Like, that would just be crappy. So anyway, I just recommend everybody, we can wait until release. We can see when the prices go down. Because I know, again, everything right now with the cards are pre-release prices. But with a literal recession guaranteed. We've lost more stock points than even the Great Depression. All right? Stuff is about to get real in these streets. And that's why, like, at the beginning, I'm sort of telling you, like, protect your health. Protect your finances. Start some planning. This is not all going to be peace and safety. Heck, some things I'm reading, America, from a philosophical level, is about to die. The Department of Justice wants to suspend habeas corpus and some other things during the crisis and up to a year afterward. And we know they have at least plans for 18 months. So you're talking 18 months and then another 12? Nah, dog, that's not right. So, and I'm a conservative. You know, I don't, yeah, anyway. So, things is changing. Things are changing. Things are getting really rough. I think, truthfully and honestly, if I was to advise whiz kids right now to stay in business and stay in the good graces of everyone, I would give the following advice. Number one, find an American card manufacturer or someplace that's not China. And even if you have to charge $5 or $6 per pack of cards, do it. Just do it. And just be like, here's your Batman team up, here's your Wonder Woman team up, here are all your team ups there. Boom. You're going to get customers indebted to you. Okay? Release a box set of 30 characters known. And release card packs throughout the year. Okay? That way, it'll take some of the edge off. Find an American, manufacturer. Find a Canadian manufacturer. Hell, Mexican manufacturer. Find some freaking place that's not China. Okay? Adjust where you're getting your stuff built from. Screw the contracts because, hell, China just said, hey, we're not sending this stuff out because we need this. They're not caring about us. China's about to be a world power. They're not about to be a world power. They've been a world power. They're about to be the number one world power. They have a lot of people's debt. A lot. And in a time where everybody's money is low, they do have a legal right to say, I call, pay me now. And if anyone says no, it's like, well, look, our trade agreement is like so now. And you'll lose this percentage of your debt that you owe me. And they will make trillions times trillions of dollars or yen or whatever the hell they have. Not yen is Japan. Of money. Units of money. Because they're going to be able to say, yeah, it started here, we recovered first. I call. We bought your debt over years and years. We bought land. Canadians, you really want to be concerned about your housing market. Like, we've bought land, we've bought houses, we bought this through multitude of businesses. I call. So, whiz kids, you want people to still be a customer? Straight switch from a random booster encounter into a known product encounter. I know. Your entirety of worlds and sealed and all this other stuff is going to go away. I know. And I know that's a ton of money that's just gone. But in these times, if you make that pivot, hell, 50 figures, $150 guaranteed, with supplemental card packs coming out monthly or bi-monthly, or at least you're going to get 2 updates per set, and the card packs are set, you are going to make your money back. You're going to know what your players really want by what they buy and what they're interested in, and just volume. Okay? And you will come out ahead. You can still have everything be known and make more money and spend less. You'll spend less time in R&D less time in graphics production, figuring out how to balance and rebalance cards. That's going to be a little bit more time consuming. But coming out with 10, 15 cards for a character is not wrong. Just how you're doing it is wrong. So things are going to change. I don't want you, the listener, to go under. I understand at any moment this hobby can be gone. I understand at any moment we all could just look at this as saying, like, what have I wasted my life on? A pile of plastic. It's easy to, when your base needs are threatened, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, your base needs are threatened, your mind will revert back to base needs. And we've been in a time where we've been allowed a chance for self-actualization, and some of us haven't taken that time. So I would encourage you, like with the advice I had before, take a time to self-actualize. Who are you as a person? What is important? What do you want to be? Your time is finite. What do you want to spend it on? What is your mark on this earth, knowing, and how long will that mark last? There are very few marks on this earth that a single person that has made or been a part of that's lasted. There have been a lot of things that have lasted a long time that involve several generations of people. And there's very few things that carry over from great leaders. It's Ozymandias. Read the Ozymandias poem. It'll wake you up. All right. Thanks for listening. I know it's super depressing. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me, man, this is bad. It can be worse. Just expect it to be worse, but know you're strong enough to get through, homie. I've seen dead planets. You're not quite there yet. You can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it pithy or keep it long. I got time now. But keep it interesting and keep it awesome, baby. Let me know what's going on around you. You know, you can... I would hype the store, the donations. I would appreciate it. But if it's going to be a difference between a donation and keeping your family fed, keep your family fed, homies. Keep your family fed. All right? So that's it. I'd like to thank you all for listening. And remember, we all have to